Guys, it's James back with yet another video today on the Drieger M65 gas mask. Now this is a German build. I do believe it was in use until the 80s as far as I am aware. Again, I looked it up on Wikipedia, so it could be wrong. But just because it's out of military use doesn't mean it's not a good mask. And that being said, I'm going to go over the pros and the cons of this mask as far as I have seen. And I've gotten a chance to go into a gas chamber with it and make sure that it performs as long as it has a good filter on it. So, and in which case it did. So, and that is my M65. You know, obviously others may vary depending on their, you know, obviously their current condition. So, that being said, we're going to go into, like, you know, what is actually, since a lot of people ship this mask, I'm going to start out with what is bad first. Simply because I know a lot of people will skip over parts of the video, which I do the same thing when they're longer videos, to get to the point of things, but I want people to see this first. So that way they can see what they really need to hear first, because obviously they know what's good about it. That being said, the bad things about this mask, and I'm going to go ahead and put it on for a few examples here. Now, if you watched my last video, my voice was a lot clearer because the voice diaphragm on here is not as projecting. Okay, it sounds a little better in terms of quality, but you can't hear as far. Okay. Now, another bad thing. This fits my face as according to how you're supposed to fit your face for them. And that being said, the nose cup on this thing is very irritating. Okay, I also have a larger nose. I have a German nose, and this is a German gas mask. So that being said, I have a German-shaped nose, or the stereotypical German-shaped nose, as I should say, and my nose is hurting. So what the fuck? All right, that's the first part that I have to say. Second part. My chin is already getting a little uncomfortable by talking, because they have this little cup in here that provides a better seal, but a lot less ability for you to actually, you know, speak to your unit. Now, this being a military-grade gas mask, you'd think, okay, people have to communicate in order to be useful in the battlefield, correct? That would be true. Why would you hinder that right here when you can make a mask that has the same amount of, you know, suction cup to your face with less hindrance of your communication? Well, a non-communication squad is a dead squad. Now, another thing that I would like to say is the sides of the mask, if you don't put it on right, are fairly uncomfortable. Okay, now if you're just sitting here, it's a comfortable mask. But the second you start talking and moving your head around a lot, you start getting a little less comfortable. And if you start sweating, the mask is going to start digging into your head in certain locations, which, you know, it's a gas mask, so it's meant to save your life, not make you feel like a 5-star hotel. But the point is, when you're wearing certain other masks, you don't get that. Again, that's why it's now a surplus mask. There's better stuff out there. While this is a very good mask. Another thing that I would like to state is that if you don't preemptively fit this to your face, the way this this strap system is set up, you can't actually move. Like, here's a great example. I'm going to try and pull this, and as you can see, I'm pulling it in every direction I can, and while it is a durable rubber, it's not going to move. So if you get a mask that's way too loose, just hanging off your face like this, you're in a combat scenario, you never got to, you know, put your mask together, or you just got it the same day, and there just happened to be, ironically, a gas attack on that day. You're sitting here pushing your mask on because your fucking shit don't work, and you're going to either have to have one of your friends help you, which are probably dead because they don't have one, or you're going to have to hope it's tear gas or something, take your mask off, suck it the fuck up, and go ahead and get your shit done and put it back on. Now, for the sake of me not being able to talk very comfortably in here, I'm going to take this mask off because my chin is really getting uncomfortable. Another con that I'd have about these masks is that, you know, if you have like semi-long hair, like mine's long enough to where it's not going to hinder me too much, and if it gets much longer, it's going to go back into a hindrance again. But if you have like maybe half the top and obviously no skin on the sides, the side of your skin is going to actually start, you know, rubbing real intensely, and it's going to be really uncomfortable for your skin. That doesn't happen when you have elastic bands. Now this, if you have the right facial structure with these rubber straps, is going to give you a very tight seal, so you don't have to worry about the seal coming undone. Unfortunately, if your face is awkward, this mask is not going to be the mask for you, because you have to have certain face types for this mask to actually, you know, fit around there. I do want to note that I've only had one of my friends, and unfortunately it was like one of those really skinny faced Asian guys, and his face was a little too small for the mask anyway. But there are certain locations in the mask, because of its age, that aren't as fluffy as it used to be. So like if you're buying one of these masks, do note that some people may not get a good fit. While it can be used for anybody else in your family member, it just may not be the mask for you. I personally like the Drieger, so I'm not going to really worry about it. But going back into the negatives of the actual, you know, this thing right here, the back of this right here will get caught up on your helmet. I tried this on with the helmet. In fact, if you give me 1 second. Just give me 1 second, I'll go grab my helmet. Okay, sorry guys, I had to stop my helmet. Sorry about adding that time on there. I should have really brought that over here. I didn't, because I'm an idiot. We go ahead and put the mask back on. And again, I've already fitted it to my face, so it's a little easier to put on. I'm rushing through right now. That's not the proper way that I would go about putting the mask on when you're actually doing this for time, and which that time would depend on your life. Now, as I was saying, this mask right here, while it's comfortable on the top of your head, and obviously you're going to get a nice comfortable fit, and you can actually strap up your mask, okay? Over time, the back of your helmet is actually going to start rubbing into the plastic back there. And I actually had to, I had a second Drieger that I had taken this mask and I'd worn it for 24 hours straight to see how that would feel. And while it wasn't uncomfortable, the mask was very thin in the back. So, I mean, if you plan on practicing with this a lot, get a second mask, like a cheap beat-up one, in that sense, so that way you can just kind of, you don't have to worry about what happens to it, okay? I did it a second time and it was fine, but the fact that it happened once is too many times. Into the good about this mask. It has something, it has a neck strap that fits around your, that fits really comfortable around, and you can move it around a frag helmet and everything. I really like that, because a lot of masks have like these really light, loose ones right here, where you're like, oh fuck, I can't do anything with it unless you put it on. But hey, you toss your mask on, and you forget to throw this over your neck, you know, it goes right over United States Marine Corps PASGET like it's nothing, okay? And another thing I want to say is that if you just adjust your strap a little bit on your helmet, you can actually, I mean, for the sake of time, I'm not going to do it, you can actually comfortably strap your helmet back on to your body without it coming off, and not actually affect, because of the room it leaves you down here, not actually affect your mask's ability to seal. Alright, now, another bright side pick of that is this has triangular sights, so you're not going to lose much of anything at all. You can see the peripherals come way out here, so I can actually see my hands right now out of my peripheral, which is very convenient. And you think, okay, you're going to lose a lot of eyesight. And you also can see down fairly well. I can see my hands about right here. I can see my fingertips looking straight forward, so it's not bad. Another pro about this mask is it's not a cheap filter mask, so you can actually replace your filters and buy filters that are in date, which is also a great thing. And there's also a large variety with varying, obviously depending on what it does and what company you buy it from, a varying price range. So there's the ability to protect yourself with the cheap or expensive, and to protect yourself from certain things, which comes in handy if you live close to a chemical plant, stuff like that. Now I'm also going to take this off again because it's a little uncomfortable to speak. I'm actually going to hang it from my face to show you guys how comfortable it is to just kind of let your stuff hang there when you're in preparation phase. As you can see, it kind of leaves a little bit of a mark here. That's where it's a little less comfortable. But obviously, you know, at that point you're getting a good seal, so good to go, right? Now, another good thing I want to state about this mask is that a lot of voice diaphragms are affixed to the mask. This one, on the other hand, it moves around like this, like so. Okay, that's great because if you run into something, a lot of people will have a fixed mask and it'll chip off. But this one will just switch over a little bit. And you can actually aim down your sights with this. Obviously, I could show you, but somebody's gonna be like, "Oh, you're lying because you like Drieger mask. You're just gonna talk it up and blah 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 blah." The Drieger mask, you can actually. I did it with a scar and a little bit of a lift off my scope because that's just how I like my stuff. I did it with that and the iron sight, and you can actually aim comfortably down the sights. So obviously, you tilt your head a little bit farther than normal. But again, if you plan on using this in a scenario where you're going to have to use a gun, you'd be very stupid not to practice shooting with it on. Especially if you plan on using it. You know, if you plan on using a piece of equipment and you're a prepper, what do? You prepare. That's your motto, is you prep, right? So why would you not train in this situation that you're going to be in, right? There you go. So for those of you guys that want to bash me for that later on after the comments have been released, fuck you. You're doing it wrong. And obviously still like and subscribe, and I love you guys' feedback, but if you're going to say something that makes sense, and don't say something that is very baseline and easily countered with the truth. That being said, don't put out a lie out there just to make yourself sound cool, because, you know, there's plenty of sites where you can go do that. There's actually a site online where you can bash on people and they'll pay you to bash on them. So I mean, if you're really that needful of that, just go get paid to do it at least. But yeah, so the Drieger is a very light mask, I should say. The color makes it a little warmer outside, honestly. I know that makes no sense because it's a rubber base. You'd think it would be just as hot. But it just makes it a little bit warmer, honestly, than some of the other masks. It's not a bad warm. I mean, obviously, I sweat easy, so it's gonna be a quick sweat for me. But at least it's gonna be able to leave, you know, through the back of the mask right here. And that's for me now. If your face is shaped differently, it may not leave out the back of the mask, and that'd be a problem. But as far as I know. Now, like I said, it's a lot smaller than a lot of masks. For example, a cheek filter mask, which is for a lot of instances, really impractical. Look at the size difference. This cheek is almost, my mask covers just more than the cheek of this cheek filter mask, Check M10. And, which I did a video on, by the way. And it's a lot lighter. The comfort base around your face over time is not as comfortable, but it's definitely got the same sealing. I don't know. On the sealing, actually, I'm going to take that back. The Check M10 gives you a way better seal in motion than this does for some faces. But with the Check M10, almost every face fits comfortably in the mask. With this one, it's like a 50-50 chance. I'm part German, so I figured I'd try it out. And I ended up liking it, obviously. Or I wouldn't keep it around and be talking about it in a positive way. Now, another thing is, with this mask, you can also find, like, let's say there's another prepper down the road, or even in your vicinity, something happened and they're one of the last guys, I would say non-incapacitated. If something happens to them or you run across them and you're out of filters or running very low, you can either barter or take their 40mm filters. You can't do that with certain masks that have cheek filter masks or 60mm filters or DOST filters like the GP5. So, which I don't know why you'd have a GP5. I do believe they now make asbestos-free neutral filters, but I'd just stick to the 40mm. There's plenty of things you can actually get for that. So, but yeah, so that's your good and your bad. Another good thing that I like about this mask is it's a very durable mask.
And it also has practical uses. You can put a particle filter, a M3M particle filter on here and use it for everyday use. If you didn't particularly care for it as a MBC mask, or didn't like, if it didn't meet your criteria, you don't have to just toss it or just add it to your closet collection. If you have one, I'm gonna start one because I really like gas masks, so obviously I'm gonna start getting more. But there's practical use for this as well in terms of the civilian world. So definitely, if you're new or you're experienced, whichever one it is, I would try out the Drieger. It's a pretty good piece of gear. It's very cheap. And if anybody has anything that I'd said wrong about this, or anything to add, both negative and positive, I like feedback. Leave it down there below in the comments, and I will definitely either add it to a new video of my next gas mask video, or directly contact you and commend you for pointing out my flaw or adding on to another positive about the Drieger gas mask. And as usual, guys, like and subscribe. I hope you enjoyed the video and have a great day. And take care.